What if I told you the person hurting you has no idea they're doing it? They yell at you and think they're just expressing themselves. They snap at you and think you deserved it. They drain everything out of you and genuinely believe they're a good partner. If you sat them down and said, "You're hurting me," they would look at you confused, maybe even offended, because in their mind they're not doing anything wrong. And that's the scariest part. They're not pretending. They're not lying. They actually cannot see what everyone else sees. Something is controlling them. Something that lives in their body but hides from their mind. Something that takes over without permission and drives their behavior while they sit in the passenger seat thinking they're steering. They are not the person hurting you. Their wound is. And today I'm going to show you exactly how this works. Why some people become completely different in relationships without realizing it. And why the person you fell in love with keeps disappearing into someone you don't recognize. This is going to change how you see everything. Before we dive in, drop your country in the comments. This happens in relationships everywhere. Different languages, different cultures, same invisible pattern. Let me see where you're watching from. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine there's a person, good heart, means well, would never intentionally hurt someone they love. But every time they get into a relationship, something takes over. They become controlling without realizing they're controlling. They become angry without understanding why they're always angry. They become cold without noticing how cold they've become. They push people away while genuinely believing they're pulling them closer. If you showed them a video of how they act, they wouldn't recognize themselves. They'd say, "That's not me. I would never do that." But they do, every single day, and they have no idea. This is what I call an unconscious wound running the show. Here's how it works. When you're a child, your brain is like wet cement. Everything that happens leaves an imprint. Every experience shapes how the cement hardens. If you grew up in a home with chaos, your brain hardened around chaos. Chaos became your normal. Peace became suspicious. If you grew up with emotional neglect, your brain hardened around emptiness. You learned that love must be chased, that attention must be earned, that you're never quite enough. If you grew up with anger, your brain hardened around anger. Yelling became communication. Conflict became connection. Explosions became the only way to feel heard. By the time you're an adult, the cement is solid, and you don't even know what shape it took. This is what controls people in relationships. Not logic, not choice, not intention. Old cement that shaped itself before they were old, enough to understand what was happening. So now they're in a relationship with you, and they think they're being normal. They think everyone reacts this way. They think their anger is justified. Their coldness is reasonable. Their behavior is just how relationships work. Because to them it is normal. It's all they know. The wound is driving. And they genuinely believe they're the one behind the wheel. Let me tell you what this looks like from the inside of their mind. When they snap at you for something small, they don't experience it as snapping. They experience it as finally speaking up, standing their ground, not being a pushover. In their reality, you did something wrong. In their reality, their reaction makes perfect sense. In their reality, they're the reasonable one and you're the problem. This is why they get defensive when you confront them. You say, "Why did you yell at me?" They say, "I didn't yell. I was just talking." You say, "You're being cold." They say, "I'm fine. You're being dramatic." You say, "You hurt me." They say, "Well, maybe if you didn't do this, I wouldn't have reacted that way." They're not gaslighting you on purpose. They actually experienced the situation differently than you did. Their wound filtered reality before it reached their brain. It changed what they saw, what they heard, what they remember. They literally experienced a different conversation than you. This is why arguing feels pointless. This is why you feel crazy. This is why nothing ever gets resolved. You're not dealing with a person who knows they're hurting you and does it anyway. You're dealing with a person whose wound is translating everything into a language that protects itself. And they can't hear you because the wound is doing the listening. Now let me explain the specific wounds that take over. Some people carry the wound of never being enough. They grew up with parents who were never satisfied. Nothing they did was good enough. Every achievement was met with, "But why didn't you do better?" This wound takes over in relationships by making them desperate for validation. They need constant reassurance, constant praise, constant proof that you love them. And when they don't get it, they become angry, distant, punishing. They don't know this is happening. In their mind, they're just upset because you don't appreciate them, because you don't show love the way they need. They don't realize the void. they're trying to fill was created by their parents, not by you. The wound is starving, and it's using you to try to feed itself. Some people carry the wound of abandonment. Someone left them. Maybe a parent. Maybe a first love. Maybe someone they trusted with everything. This wound takes over in relationships by making them terrified of being left again. So they control. They check your phone. They question your friendships. They need to know where you are at all times. Or they push you away before you can leave. They create problems. They sabotage good moments. They run before you get the chance to. They don't know they're doing this. In their mind, they're just protecting themselves. Just being careful. Just making sure you're trustworthy. They can't see that. Their fear of abandonment is creating the exact abandonment they're afraid of. The wound is running and they think they're walking. Some people carry the wound of suppressed emotions. They grew up in homes where feelings were weakness, where crying was punished, where vulnerability was dangerous. So they learned to swallow everything. For years, decades. But emotions don't disappear when you swallow them. They rot, they mutate. They turn into something ugly. This wound takes over in relationships by making every small thing explosive. They're not just upset about the dishes. They're releasing years of unfelt pain onto you. They're not just angry about what you said. They're finally letting out rage they've carried since childhood. But they don't know this. To them, the dishes really are that serious. To them, your comment really was that hurtful. They can't see that you're not the cause. You're just the trigger. The wound has been waiting for an exit, and you opened the door. Have you ever been with someone who overreacted to small things but couldn't see they were overreacting? Like they genuinely believed their response was normal? Tell me in the comments. I know this feeling too well. Here's what's hardest to accept about all of this. They might never see it. Some people go their entire lives controlled by wounds they never examine. They leave a trail of broken relationships behind them. And after each one, they say the same thing. I just keep choosing the wrong people. They don't realize they're the common factor. They don't realize something inside them is destroying every connection before it has a chance. And they won't realize it until they're ready to look inward. That readiness is not something you can force, not something your love can create, not something your patience can unlock. They have to choose to see it themselves. And many people never make that choice, because seeing the wound means feeling the pain that created it. And that's terrifying. So they stay blind. They stay controlled. They keep hurting people without knowing. Now let me tell you why none of this is your fault. You didn't create their wound. You didn't cause their patterns. You didn't break whatever's broken inside them. You just fell in love with someone who has invisible damage running their behavior. And you've been trying to fix something you didn't break. Trying to understand something they don't even see. Trying to love someone into awareness they're not ready to have. That's exhausting. That's heartbreaking. That's not your job. You can have compassion for their wounds and still protect yourself from the damage those wounds cause. You can understand why they act this way and still decide it's not acceptable. You can love someone and still walk away because their unconscious patterns are destroying you. Understanding is not the same as tolerating. Compassion is not the same as sacrifice. They might not know what they're doing, but you know what it's costing you. So what do you do with this information? First, you stop blaming yourself. Their reactions are not about you. Their wounds existed before you. Their patterns would continue with anyone. You're not doing something wrong. You're just standing in front of a wound that attacks anything in its path. Second, you stop expecting them to see it. They can't see what they're not ready to see, and explaining it again won't help. You've probably tried 100 times. The wound protects itself by staying invisible to its host. Your words won't penetrate that defense. Third, you ask yourself the honest question. Can you stay in a relationship with someone who is being controlled by something they refuse to look at? Not do you love them, not can you understand them. Can you survive this? Because understanding why someone hurts you doesn't mean the hurt stops. And your life is not a sacrifice meant to be laid at the altar of someone else's unhealed wounds. If this video put words to something you couldn't explain, I need you to subscribe right now. This channel is about understanding the psychology of relationships, why people act the way they act, why love sometimes feels like war, and why it's not your fault when someone's wounds turn against you. Hit that like button if you finally see what's been happening in your relationship. Share this video with someone who keeps blaming themselves for their partner's behavior, someone who doesn't realize they're dealing with a wound, not a person. This could change everything for them. Drop a comment and tell me, did this describe someone in your life, past or present? Let's talk about it. Sometimes just naming it takes away its power. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, you can't fix a wound that someone else refuses to look at, but you can stop bleeding for it. That's your choice, and it's a choice you deserve to make. Take care of yourself. You've been taking care of everyone else long enough. This is Voices of the Forgotten, where human behavior explained, where patterns, emotions, and hidden motives come to light.